I was working with Rashad today, and I haven't seen Rashad in a period of time, a number of months. But one thing about it is you've got to say what you see. I mean, if you're behind the desk and you're holding the microphone, your job is to say what you see. It is not to be self-serving. It's not to put the guys over that you like. It's not to hold anybody back. I mean, right? It's not all that complicated, but say what you see and nothing else. So today was a little bit different because, right, Team Colby, right here. You guys got it. But Rashad is Team Usman. So, in my own opinion, it's a wash. It's fair to come at it from my perspective and to be a bit of a fan. Because then the champ is also represented with Rashad. So, this table's set, and he and I are going back and forth a little bit. But I kept finding myself coming back to the same conclusion where I'd have to kind of go, like if Rashad said something good about Usman, there was no way for me to argue it. Right? Like, Usman's amazing. There was no way for me to argue it. And then if I'm saying something good about Colby, and I look back to Rashad, there was no way for him to deny it. It's one of these fights, guys, I've never seen a fight, ever, where two guys cancel each other out more. At least in theory. And I tried to break this back it was getting silly how far I was having to do research and look into this to find something different. Turns out their records are the same. I knew they each had a loss. I didn't know they both had 15 wins. They're both 15-1. Colby's got a belt. Kamaru's got a belt. Kamaru wrestled his whole life. Colby wrestled his whole life. Kamaru is complimented by everybody out there for his conditioning. Colby's complimented for his output as well. I mean, this thing's a straight wash to where I went back and go, okay, when's the last time Colby lost a round? And I found it, but I had to move X amount of time. I can't recall it off the top of my head. Let's find when Kamaru lost his last round. It was one fight apart. I think it was 3 months apart, but it was the same fight, period of time-wise. Okay, how silly can we get on this? I went all the way back to their birthdays, which, by the way, are 2 months apart. On paper, this is the straight, and this is the closest fight. I'm picking Colby. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a homer. I can admit that. That's not an insult to Kamaru. I'm picking Colby. Whoever Colby's going against, I'm picking Colby. I have to say that. But I do feel my own honest to goodness opinion, saying what I see, following that rule. When I watched Colby's last fight, and it was against Robbie Lawler, when I watched that fight and I juxtaposed it against his previous fight, okay, the gains that he made were very evident. There was a specific moment in the Robbie Lawler fight in the very first round. When you think you know what that fight's going to be, looking at it, you've got the wrestler in Colby and you've got the striker in Robbie, and you think you know what it is, but there was a moment in that fight where they start trading shots and Robbie starts hitting him. And there was this moment, I keep saying a moment, it was a half a second, it was an eighth of a second where Colby had to make a decision. Now the right answer to that is change elevation, close the distance, grab a hold of that guy. Colby made a decision, no, I'm going to plant my feet, I'm going to fire back, and we're going to solve this problem. We're going to figure this problem out right now, just like a guy would do in the practice room, except he did it live and he started connecting on Robbie. Now, that was a two-way battle, and Robbie did just fine and defended himself just fine. I understand all of those things, but Colby stood his ground, and Colby showed us Muay Thai. It wasn't boxing, it wasn't kickboxing, it was Muay Thai that we never knew he had. He was landing elbows, he was landing knees, he was getting to a Thai clinch. We knew about the boxing, we knew he'd slip some kicks in there every now and then, but it was straight up Muay Thai, and he was also then transitioning from those strikes into his grappling. Now, I kind of have to give that same compliment back to Usman. If you go look at Usman versus Woodley, it was a totally different fight than Colby versus Lawler. But we also did not know that Kamaru could take somebody as good as Woodley down 5 times, 1 per round. Oh, and by the way, hold him there. I mean, that was real surprising. Getting Tyron Woodley off his feet is a very, very rare thing. Keeping him off his feet, I've never seen before. I don't think you guys have either. I've seen all Tyron's fights. I sure can't recall one off the top of my head where somebody was able to hold him there. Okay, great. But compliment to Usman. And one thing about it, you can sit around and argue who the better wrestler is all you want. Here's here's the air, okay? This is coming from a wrestler. If you make the decision to go and take somebody down, that is a tremendous amount of effort and is a tremendous amount of energy. And if you're going to go expend that effort and energy, you must be able to hold them there. You must. Because that's where you're getting your recovery. There's a reason guys don't just take somebody down and let them scramble back up and take them back down. Even in a wrestling match, even in a jiu-jitsu match, there's a reason you don't do it, because you can't. The effort and the energy that it takes to get a takedown. Now, the point that I'm trying to make for you is one of them's going to go for that takedown first. And in large part, that could be the downfall of that athlete, because use Kamaru by example. If he goes after Colby, he changes elevation, he comes to Colby's legs, and Colby's got good hips and good balance and can defend it. Kamaru's going to come up just as tired as had he got that takedown, except guess what? There's no opportunity to catch your breath. And the same thing goes for Colby. If Colby goes for that early and he miscalculates and he misses it and he doesn't get it, it's a big problem. Let me give you guys a fight that might be a more recent example. You will remember, it was about 2 months ago, Dominic Reyes goes out and fights Chris Weidman, okay? There was two things in that fight that started to unravel that fight. First was Weidman got a takedown, but Reyes sprung back up. And the second was Weidman went for a takedown, but never got it. That just took a tremendous amount of energy. And at some point, Weidman's got to find a way to refill the gas tank. That's just the way that it works. That was what Reyes had done so well in the fight. That was what the moment of the fight with Reyes where I thought, okay, he is ready to fight John Jones. That is an interesting fight, him versus John Jones, because if you can't stop a takedown, you can't deal with John Jones. It's as simple as that. If you can deal with takedowns from Chris Weidman, you can deal with John Jones's takedowns. If you screw up against Chris Weidman, you get taken in, but you can scramble back up to your feet, you can deal with John Jones. Relevance being, one of these guys is the better wrestler than the other one. I don't personally know that answer. We're going to have to find that out in a very short period of time. But whichever guy that is, damn sure better guess that he calculates that math correctly.